If you listen to this program, you might know that I'm an expert at nothing, but kind of have enough general knowledge to get me into trouble on everything, with the exception of sports. That is a no-knowledge zone. But even once in a while, a story will break through, and I will see, wait a minute, hang on. You have to have a minority offensive coach. You have to hire one now. They have to be, including women. I'm wondering how long before football has to hire people like me. You need a really uncoordinated dork that can barely run, cannot throw, and trips over his own feet about every 3 yards. You need at least one of those people on your team. Jason Whitlock is here. He's the host of BlazeTV's Fearless. Hello, Jason.
How are you, Glenn?
Good. How far are we away from me being on a team?
We got a little ways to go. You don't fit the profile. This rule is crazy, man, because I'm pretty confident there is already a black assistant coach on the offensive side of the football team on every staff in the NFL and on pretty much every Division I football staff in college football. This rule is a bit of a publicity stunt, but it's also really intended to empower women and make the NFL have to start interviewing women for jobs.
Do you think that the Redskins, I refuse to call them any other name, the Redskins that seem to have kind of a rebellious bend to them, do you think they could just hire hookers or strippers?
It's comical that you mentioned that, because I was like, well, the younger me years ago, if I was an NFL head coach, I literally said to someone, I'd say, I would just go to whatever the best strip club is in my town and hire some woman there to be an offensive assistant,
right?
Executive in charge of, the head coach's needs or whatever.
Well, okay, that's a problem, but... So wait a minute. So this doesn't make a difference. So I've even misunderstood this story. I couldn't even get this one right.
You haven't misunderstood it in terms of, look, the NFL is just going further and further woke, and they're trying to they want to run the NFL the way college campuses are run. And so basically...
Hold on just a second. I just want to get my arms around that one. Hang on just a second. Because I don't think that's ever been said by any business ever. We want to run our business more like a college campus. Okay.
No question. And college campuses, generally speaking, have just as many, if not more, administrators as they do professors.
Oh, that's good.
And so what they're talking about is hiring administrators, people that can't coach football, really, and I'm not saying that to be sexist, but coaching football is not really in most women's skill set. They haven't played the game. And so, but they're going to set up all these administrator jobs for women and say, look how inclusive and diverse we are, and look at all the progress we're making. We have female coaches. And then they're also going to, LGBT coaches of color that perhaps are not getting their jobs based on merit, will have some type of special title and role on the team. It's just mugging up the system with a lot of mid-level management people that have no real skill.
Jason, it was my impression that we were striving for a time in which we would not make decisions based on skin color. We seem to be reversing that trend for whatever reason. But in the NFL, they're even going to the point where they are changing the competitive balance of the league, where certain executives of color get hired away and they're giving draft picks as compensation, free draft picks to teams. I mean, you're disturbing the core product here.
Yeah, it's not a meritocracy anymore, and it's just look at the example. The Miami Dolphins hired Mike McDaniel as their head coach. His dad is black, but if you listen to what Mike McDaniel has said about himself, is he's certainly proud of his black father, not ashamed of his black heritage, but Mike McDaniel looks white and has basically lived his life as a white person, the same as Barack Obama, who's half white but looks black, has lived his life as a black person. Mike McDaniel has that right. There's no shame about him being half black. There's no shame about his father. But the San Francisco 49ers got draft picks because he was on their staff, and now the Dolphins have hired him. But you know, Mike McDaniel's experience as a black person isn't what the majority of black people's experience has been. He looks and appears to be completely white. And so it's a foolish game that only could be come up with on a college campus where they live in theory. They don't live in reality. And so these theories that they have applied on campuses are now being forced on corporate America, and the NFL has swallowed it whole because, again, the people making the decisions and pushing this agenda are just creating additional jobs for themselves within the NFL. The NFL will have a diversity, inclusion, and equity chief and someone to oversee all of this managing of racial quotas that they're going, and those will be black people or women or LGBTQ, and it's no different than all of this stuff has happened within corporate America. If you go look at the profile of most people running human resources department, they're minorities and or LGBTQ, and they're the gatekeepers for who gets jobs in corporate America.
Unbelievable.
And the NFL is going to start setting up its gatekeepers to decide who gets jobs in the NFL, and it'll be someone LGBTQ or minority.
Now I don't know much about sports, but if I'm not mistaken, I've only seen somebody hire somebody completely incompetent in sports and have it worked out, and that is Ted Lasso. I think that's the only time that has happened.
I'll give you another example right there at home, Glenn. And Barry Switzer was a heck of a college coach. He had no business coaching the Dallas Cowboys. He won a Super Bowl with Jimmy Johnson's Dallas Cowboys when Jerry Jones ran him out. So you can get away with it for a short time if there's enough talent surrounding you.
Are we the only country doing this to our sports teams?
I can't answer that question. I can't answer it, and to some degree, I don't care because all I care about is America.
Well, I know, but I mean, we've always led the world because we were a meritocracy.
Yeah.
And I just like to see if we have spread this disease everywhere. I mean, because the Western culture is so affected by America. And if we're spreading this disease, I mean, I feel, and I've never said this before, I feel sorry for soccer fans, and I'd like to apologize to them.
Yeah, I would tend to think we're spreading the disease because the disease is really coming from a lab at Harvard and Yale and Stanford. And, we had a lab leak, and it's spreading all over the country, this diversity, inclusion, and equity. I love to call it DIE, D-I-E. They call it DEI intentionally, but they're just out trying to kill the American spirit, the American way of life, all under the pretense of, empowering, these oppressed minorities. And it's offensive to me as a black man and as someone who grew up I went to college on a football scholarship. I wouldn't be college educated about football. There's been no challenge placed in front of black men that we haven't been able to overcome and scale those heights if just the playing field were level. They're not trying to level the playing field anymore. They're trying to tilt the playing field, and it's offensive to me. I don't need crutches. I really don't. My dad and mom were my crutches, and they pushed me forward. And virtually all of my friends that I went to college with, black guys, their parents were their crutches. And I'm looking at these guys and where they're at in their mid-50s, and the American system worked for them. It did not oppress them. It worked for them. Has everything been perfect? No. But my friends own businesses, have high-level jobs, have successful marriages, raising great kids. And again, most of us did not come from much. My dad didn't graduate high school. My mother was a factory worker. That's kind of the profile of most of my friends' parents. And we've all done really well, and these guys that all have kids and family, they're pushing their generation of kids further along than they were.
I have to tell you, you made me think of something that I haven't even thought of when you said DIE for diversity, inclusion, and equity instead of DEI, and you said, they spell it that way for obvious reasons, and I thought, the die thing. But when the way you said it, it made me think, wait a minute, that's Dei. That's Latin. That's Latin for God. That is where, if you look it up, it's DEI or DEUS, but Dei is God. Wow. And I don't think that necessarily is a coincidence. I'm not saying that they did that for a reason, for that reason, but I just think there are little signs everywhere that show that these people think they're God. They just think they're God, and they are worshiping Baal, the God of the Old Testament, and it is not the right God to be following.
I'll say this. If they don't think they're God, they think they're smarter than God.
Yeah.
And that's just as problematic.
True. Jason Whitlock, thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you. Thank you, Glenn.
If you've not watched Jason, you need to watch his program. You'll find it here on BlazeTV, blazetv.com/Glenn. Use the promo code Glenn.